Hi there. If you want to create login setup in your Angular and Firebase app, then this tutorial is for you. What I want to say is that this is a small part of a bigger tutorial that I have available on Udemy, so go ahead and check in the description below to find the link to full course. So first of all, what we need to do, we want to go to Firebase website. We want to create an app. I have already created my project here, so I have my app created in Firebase, and what we want to do, we want to hit the authentication tab. For the sign in method we are going to use email and password. So let's go to this tab, sign in method, and let's choose email and password. So what we want to do now, we want to enable the email and password sign-in method. We do not need the email link, so we can click Save now. And our email and password method is enabled now. After our method is enabled, we want to go to Users tab, and we need to create a user. So I'm just going to create one user. You can create multiple users, and we need to give, of course, this user an email and password for signing in. Okay, so now we can go back to our code. As I mentioned before, this is part of a bigger project. I only want to show you here the authentication and login method and how easy it is to set up this in Angular and Firebase. So let's create a login component in your application. If you do not have a login component, you can as well do this in your main component, but for me I choose the login to be separately. I as well create a header here. You don't have to do it, as I mentioned before. This is something I do for my application. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a user data model. My idea in Angular for data is to create models and interfaces, so I'm going to do this here as well. And of course, we will need a service that is going to take care of the login functionality. So let's create an auth service in our project as well. For the user data model, this is going to be very simple configuration. This is going to be an email, which is type of string, and of course a password, which is going to be string as well. And that's it. What you can see here, that in my login component I have already created some HTML code. This is a standard login form that I have created, nothing fancy. This is created with simple email and password input fields, and of course a login button. You can copy paste this in your project. And I forgot to mention, this is created with Bootstrap. This is what my app looks like. So right now let's create a path for our login component in order to display our login form. I'm using Angular version 15, CLI version 15. If you are using version 17 or the newest version 18, which was released quite recently. You as well get the routes file, and configuration is pretty much very similar to what I'm doing here. So we just need to add the path for the login. So let's test this out. Let's check our login form, and you can see our login form is displaying correctly. So now we can go to our auth service, and we are going to work on our login functionality. What I'm using here is for my login functionality, I'm using Angular Fire package. This is a cool package that that you can use for authentication, for working with your Firestore database. So from Angular Fire, what we need to import is auth. We need to import sign with email and password. We are going to need our router as well. If you are, as I mentioned before, if you are using the new version and of Angular CLI, and you are using standalone components, then probably you need some more imports here. For me, I have the older version of Angular CLI, so I have most of my imports in my main app module file. As you can see here, I have imported the user data model from my models into the service, and now we need to add the service to the constructor. Let's add the router as well. Okay, so now let's work on our login service. As I mentioned before, this is very simple and very easy. We need to pass the user data. So as this is working asynchronously, we are going to use a promise, and in return we are going to use our sign in with email and password method. And what we want to pass in here is the user data email and user data password. And after that we can do a then block. So for successful sign in, we want to use a router. So whenever our login is successful, we want to use a router. and we want to redirect our user to our main route. So let's use the router to achieve this functionality. And we can use the catch for catching any errors if they appear. And for, as you can see, for our unsuccessful login attempts, we have an alert where we say incorrect email on our password. We can probably do the same for successful login, so we can do alert login successful. Just let's do this before the router. Okay, and our service looks all good now. We can go ahead to our component, and we are going to work on our code directly in our component. So first of all, right after we enter our component, what we want to do is we want to, of course, import our auth service. And we will, of course, use the user data from our models as well. So we want to have, for start in our form, we want to have a user fields, the email and password as empty fields. So we need to initialize this as an empty fields. So for constructor, we are adding the auth service. And our login code is going to be very easy here. We're simply going to use the login functionality that we have created in our service. And as you can see, our code has compiled successfully. This means that everything should work now correctly. For our HTML, we still need to add ID for our input fields as well. We are going to, as we are using the template-driven forms, we need to use the ng model. So we need to add the ID, ng model, name, and required flag to both of our inputs. And now for the form, I'm going to use ng submit and use the login method. Okay, so this is done. Now let's test if everything works correctly. We are going to use a user from our authentication tab. So whatever user you have created in your authenticated users tab, you can give it a try and test one of them. I have only one. Let's test it out. As you can see, our login is successful, so everything works as we planned. And of course, we are, after the alert, we are redirected to our main route. As I mentioned before, this is a part of a bigger course that I have available on Udemy. There is a much more thing we are doing there. We are creating a full CRUD functionality. We are deploying the app to Firebase, so go ahead and check the link below. I encourage you to check out on Udemy what I have prepared, and it's been my pleasure to create this quick tutorial for you.